Good afternoon, Final Fantasy Randomizer fans. Welcome to a wonderful matchup today between Darkmoon and Ael, racing in a round 2 best of 1 matchup here in the winter tournament. I'm Caleb. I'm in the booth here with Avian Thalk. How you doing, Avian?
I do well, and I hope the racers and all of our fans do too. I'm noticing something interesting with these parties, especially Darkmoon, who for some reason against all of his ever wishes has 2 white mages. That can be accounted for by the fact that our racers agreed to a 6-member draft, which for some reason gave them 2 thieves, 2 white mages, a black belt, and a fighter. Now, they would love to have that that red mage with Cure 3 or Hurt Undead, or the black mage that comes with plus 10 strength, but mostly plus fast, but they can't. Instead, they get to choose from a fighter with legendary swords and improved cat claw, up to 2 thieves with plus 10 luck and plus 10 vitality, a black belt with plus 20 hit and tele magic, which honestly is takeable in these flags, and up to 2 white mages, which we see Darkmoon having, with heal magic and plus 20 hit points. I gotta say, Oslaughter, our restreamer, really is trying to take revenge for what seed was rolled by Darkmoon the other day.
This is going to be a treat for our audience. Now, not only do we have the 6-player party draft, Avian, they've also got some stuff cooking in those boxes beyond the trapped war mech with the Masa somewhere loose in the world. We do have trapped shards as well as trapped key items. So a lot of fights going to happen in this. A lot of these flags will probably run a little bit slower than the standard winter tournament flags, just because we're going to be taking more fights. So in lieu of the 30-second box check, we're now, we got nachos in Matoya's cave kind of situation. Although I do believe they're running allocated formations. Is that right?
I did not check the flags for that, but we will see for sure. What I do know is with those trap chests for the shards, that is more encounters they will have, which could allow Ael to get that black belt up in levels faster without having to get a dedicated grind on.
I would honestly, if Thavian, I would be surprised if that black belt has any utility beyond just being woken up and used for its teleport magic. I think the black belt might be a slippery slope in these with these settings, but thief, ninja, or fighter, like that might do enough to carry. With the legendary sword, cat claw means we could have 2 katana swingers. The thief's going to be extra slippery with all the extra luck, and that white mage going to be able to heal right away in case level 1 kind of blows up in our face and we don't have anything good now. I didn't look at the magic that lies ahead, and I was only half listening to you guys talk about it, but maybe we get an early exit for the white mage and the black belt stays down, and Darkmoon is at an advantage with the 2 white mages. But here we go. We are off and running. Checking that white mage. We got Harm 2, Heal 3, and Ruse. Not a bad toolkit to work with.
Definitely passable, especially for Darkmoon with the 2 white mages, that Harm 2 with Harm All, and Quake and Lit 3 in Black 1. That is accessible to the Thief post-promotion. Oh my word. Ael actually warped out to get past that instead of trying to run it around. Large plus 5, that's kind of nice, but the Rapier plus 1 is usable by both the Thief and the Knight, and cheap, so Ael's going to pick those up. Armor-wise, nothing spectacular. The Wood Shield is cheap, so I can see why he picked that up for his fighter.
Pro Ring's a little pricey, but you love to see a plus 4 Pro Ring, but we'll probably find those in boxes, so probably take a second to get the stream synced as Darkmoon is now finally moving. As Ael heading into Temple of Fiends, going to get our first look at 3 boxes. Now the problem is, if we have a box blocking bridge or ship and it's a fight we can't kill, we might be in trouble.
Hey, it just means our runners get to experience what my brother forced. Oh, Bluties! Delicious. I do remember as a kid, my brother was so stubborn he leveled to 50 across his entire party before fighting Garland the first time he played the game.
Yeah, these unrunnable bones gonna keep us slowed down a little bit, and we're not gonna be able to overcome those bluties for a while, so hopefully that's not ship or bridge in progression.
Well,
Hopefully
silver armor plus 6 makes survivability good. against anything that's not a near endgame dragon in pair.
This is fair.
Now, what hath Garland wield?
A Harm 2 swinging and missing all around. Little evasive Garland. Second Arm 2's not going to do it. Those melee strikes are going to have to land at 5 damage, 16 damage. Going to have to do a little bit better than that. Everybody just slapping down Garland, but we get there. And it's Ale on and through. Going to find out what our royalty gives us. And
Hopefully progression.
Fingers crossed for progression, yeah. Well, we got a rod and a bridge, so...
The King Scepter and a way out to other chests that aren't Bloody.
Kind of keep an eye on that Blue D box as maybe being required later. But hopefully it's just a shard.
And the houses rolled 4,400. That's delicious.
Very gross. Very, very gross.
It's going to be really painful for Ale potentially because he only has one white caster to spread the charges around versus Darkmoon, but that also depends on whether that white magic truly is the value.
Alright, gonna skip Matoya and head to Provoka, I guess, to get a look at the level 2 magic and maybe Bicky with the crystal. I personally like checking Matoya first. It's 3 boxes versus the 1 check with Bicky, and there's a chance that our boat's here and it's a little bit quicker to sail, but I think it's a 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other kind of thing.
I've always banked on whether or not I think there'll be an item there, but more importantly, if I have enough gold for the magic and possible equipment in Provoka. Because those 3 chests can come up thick. Ooh, Fog 2 is kind of nice to see, but you'd rather have Wall or Warp, or sorry, Exit. Brack. Brack would also be fun to see, but at this point, only up to level 4 magic will be available only past promotion with that Thief.
All right,
wow.
Here's a little divergence. Matoya check for Darkmoon, and we're going to spam out a Harm 2.
And all 3 boxes were marked.
Yeah, hate to see it, because some of those are going to be required, more than likely. But Ale Big Braining the Crystal here from Bicky will be on his way now to Matoya to find out what's in those boxes. So a lot of reminds me of the End of 7. What's in the box?
Interesting. Ale noticing the tents in the cabins, but taking the tents despite the cabins being the exact same price, that little bit of extra healing could come in handy, especially if you're low on white magic or potions. But either way, Ale is exiting out with his save done, is going to go turn in that crystal, probably see 3 chests and at least save out and check them, but I doubt he'll be able to get the kill on most of them.
Yeah, with Harm 2, it's gonna be a challenge with 1 Harm 2 caster. Now, if we find, well, we have a little bit of money. We can go back and get those bigger, the longsword +5 for the fighter to get a little bit more melee output. But it's gonna be spooky, scary.
Yep, he sees 3 chests. He runs back out, saves, and now he's gonna be able to take those.
If Matoya gives us X-Cal. That's an opal bracelet. So if Matoya gives us X-Cal, like, it would be great for the fighter, because then we could possibly get through some stuff.
I don't think that's enough Harm 2 casts to deal with 2 Gur Ogres.
It might be. We get some crits working.
Well, currently the evasion's good for his party, but we shall see. Even the white mage dodging, what is with this? Did we give plus evasion stats for all these characters?
Alright, now it's into just, we're in a slap fight versus some ogres. Oh, we got 1 more Harm 2. Fingers crossed. Now, do you leave and save it after this box?
I would say it's probably worth saving at this point. He's out of casts, he's got some extra levels, he's got the TNT, he might just come back for those chests later and go to dwarfs.
Now, Gurmaduce in the next box is particularly spicy. That's a lot of XP.
This is very true, but he also now is going swing mode. I think he's just going to tempt fate because he saved, and if he dies, he's just going to leave. Yeah, well, check the other box and leave, but we know the other box is going to be a challenge because we already saw it when Dark came in.
Now, I do think there's some value in heading to Dwarf Cave, turning in that TNT. Again, like, I think fighter with legendary weapons. We have 2 boxes that we can open up, as well as the TNT check itself, and the check itself could be a high-rolled Vorpal, a high-rolled Excal, and one of the 2 boxes might have a katana or something. So there could be some value in finding out that and seeing if our fighter can come online a little bit earlier than anticipated.
Most definitely. Being able to get more damage early allows for faster leveling up, and if Ale or Darkmoon, or if Ale tries to get that black belt online, he doesn't necessarily want to
Ooh.
promote easily. Those
Germaduses have Stone Touch.
That's
Those
thematically appropriate. Oh,
There's more monsters. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. There's more trap boxes. And
that's some good experience, but not something he wants to take now.
No,
You have not rolled them a chest outside of Toph that isn't locked and trapped.
Now, we could be here a while. We could be here a while. Those are very challenging fights to take. With Stone Touch on the Germaduses, once we get that information, we could ruse stick around that, but one of those boxes or the Gasties is going to be progression.
He's gonna take the waters, or he's gonna he's making his choice.
We're gonna keep. He's resetting and hoping for a better roll than 3 chimeras, and isn't gonna get it because B-sides. Just feels bad.
Consistent locked numbers on those encounters. Now, where does he go? Does he think he has a better chance with the stuff of Montoya? It looks like he does.
Yeah. He also doesn't know about the Stone Touch yet, so.
And he doesn't have the advantage of multiple harm casts either, so that extra white mage actually probably coming in handy for Darkmoon early.
Yeah, you would have loved to have found like an early, especially with the boxes in Dwarves here, you would have loved to have found a black shirt. The chimeras, the waters being susceptible to ice.
That would be amazing, but I kind of wonder if at some point our runners will think, this is too painful, I'd rather pop grind for something.
I mean, yeah, to get a little bit extra levels, to get a little bit extra life, this is, in the words of our tracker, Goats Pirate, a mess. So while our runners here are sort of struggling to get their hands around the opening of this seed, I do want to give a shout out to Goats Pirate for tracking, for Ozloto for doing the restream, and for RPG Limit Break for being so kind as to host us for this. This is going to be a treat for everyone out there. We're not going anywhere for a while.
We already have shuffling with the knight or the fighter being put at the very back with the black belt there as well, so he can Blade of Meat Shield with his other party. Get the ruse stick out. Oh, wow. They really like targeting that black belt.
That's... oh no. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs.
You would think the Germaduses would be the best pack to take because they're dangerous, but most of them will just go down to repeated spellcasts, but they just don't want to go. Ale looks like he's heading somewhere. If it's the Peninsula of Power, I will be happy.
No. I think we're going to go double check those swords for sale. Done a lot of races with Ale. I've spent a lot of time with him doing co-op stuff. I feel like I have an insight into how his brain works as he walks into Canary to buy slightly better swords. This is going to be a challenge. This is going to really show off the runner's ability to sort of recalibrate, as Darkmoon said in his post game against Flurry. Like, we got some decisions to make, and we're out here buying iron hats, gloves +5. We want all the absorb because maybe we're going to take on those red Pereves and Frost Gators.
Honestly, at this point, having seen what the other options are, that's probably not a bad one. Darkmoon fighting with but refusing to talk to the broom.
Herbie B in chat saying pop with 2 white mages could work. It could. All depends on what those frost wolves roll and how easily they are to be found.
Looks like Ale's either going searching for items or heading that way. But another thing to note before, if they do a pop grind, 4,400 gold houses. Neither of them have the gold to buy a single house at this point.
Mm-hmm. And Darkmoon breaking through here with the... Uh-oh, Darkmoon might be through if he gets turn order here. Oh no, we're out of charges. Oh, Darkmoon's so close there. I think that Darkmoon saw a little bit of light at the end of that tunnel.
Hell, that's a worrisome thing, because if he saw light at the tunnel, he might keep trying to drive for it. Meanwhile, Ale taking on 4 Frost Wolves on the Peninsula Power, a great pack to find. It's not a lot, and it looks like they're just hitting. And again, why are these so evasive as far as party members go? Oh, Squint. Okay, now I'm more like, okay, that makes sense.
Alright, pretty good rolls there for Harm 2, and here comes the second Harm 2. How many are we going to clear out? Another good situation here for Darkmoon. If we can get turn order.
You say things.
So this is... Darkmoon thinking real good. But I think if we move that roost stick up to the... Where are we going to move that roost stick to? I thought we were going to move it up to the thief and try to get that thief evasion tanking.
Ale unfortunately lost his white mage in that initial fight. It looks like he's going to black out to some giants. But if he can get some good effort on those frost wolves, even if they have crack, it could be doable.
I did double check the race time room. No one's called for a reroll yet, and they are 10 minutes ahead of us, so we are in it.
Darkmoon has actually dropped all 3 of his other characters. That Ale, that roost stick coming out, he is now evasive, and he's just going to use that large sword, take out 3 giants. That's a huge chunk of early experience for that fighter alone. No doubt he is going to run it back, though, because he's not going to try and solo pop grind with the fighter at this level anytime soon.
And it is worth noting that we are playing with set RNG.
Did I say he would run it back and get some items and revive? But evidently not. That armor he purchased doing a good job. Only taking 27 is the biggest hit so far.
The real problem here is going to be the set RNG on these boxes. Like, Darkmoon has to do something that's going to change the outcome here. And unfortunately, it's not going to happen. So Darkmoon pivoting now and going to come up with something as Ale's going to make Zac super big. The unintended consequence of set RNG in its inception to make sure that runners see the same things, aren't being blown up in Topher by, oh, I got lucky and saw the kinder script from a boss, is that when progression is in a box and that box rolls a nasty script, it could be a problem. And the upside is that if you find a decent grind, you know it's safe. And that's what Ale is doing here, using the set RNG. He knows these giants aren't going to do anything bad, as long as he keeps doing the same thing every fight.
Level 9 on that fighter, definitely getting the value out of it. Darkmoon now going to choose to take on the Chimeras.
Gonna see what this battle RNG looks like. Again, 2 Harm 2 casters.
Roost stick does nothing if the Chimeras kill the fighter before it actually has a chance to stack.
And Pickle's calling out that Giant's good money too for Ale, and we do know those pro rings were for sale. We're like 19k, and if we get some pro rings, it makes the Frost Wolves a little easier to deal with. And ooh, Zombo's access to level 1 magic with Lightning 3.
And Ale just gonna say, to heck with it, I want to stack the levels on that fighter. I understand why. Oh, just the Zombo. I mean, unfortunately he doesn't have a fire sword or a light axe, but he can get the swings at, ooh, fast. And slow. These Zombos are trolls.
Alright, Darkmoon a few rounds into this Chimera fight, using the Roost Stick. We still have a couple Harm 2s. You can see Darkmoon using a fun percent flag to change the name of the spells to be a little bit easier to read for some people. That's Dia2, named after the other Final Fantasy versions of Harm. Doing non-elemental damage, not enough. All those Harm 2 casts to break through, and now it's just going to be hoping for crits.
Hold A and pray for Darkmoon's side. Meanwhile, Ale found Lightning 2, Fast, Hold, and Slow are on those zombies.
Mm-hmm. And you can see he's just working through the encounter table, not really hard resetting, just as we found the hero run. Ale channeling his inner soul coughing and just walking around in circles.
Well, if he can get those roost stacks up, he can get a lot of golden experience on this 4-pack. These giants and the trolls before him were not, or ogres as shade before him, were not that accurate, although the giants definitely hit harder.
Darkmoon making a little bit of progress here. Unfortunately, not being able to land a hit on this bottom left Chimera, but down to 1. He is evasion capped, so we will find out. I mean, it's also worth noting they have set RNG as well as the fixed missing battle RNG, so that 3 in 256 chance of bad things happening is now a 2 in 256, and Darkmoon is through. And gets
with a crown, which is unfortunately not touchable because they don't have the ship or the canoe.
But we got some levels. We got a little bit bigger of a fighter, so we're gonna walk back to Canaria, bring everyone back to life.
That one fight, even after all the foibles Darkmoon had, was enough experience to mostly catch up with Ale. Mm-hmm. Level 9 versus, I believe, Ale is at level 10?
Yeah,
on the fighter, at least.
Great experience. They're a great walking grind experience if you've got the tools to get rid of them in one round, like a Nuke or Ice 3. Like, Chimera is a great fight to take.
Usually something you take around level 15 or higher, though, on a full party when you're actually in Sky, but...
Alright, now, with a little bit of money, we're gonna buy a better sword. That's a good plan for Darkmoon. Upgrade
it has
from
been working.
Short.
Yeah, it's been working for Ale, who is down with his pop grind. He's going to go ahead and pop party members up in and go. If he can evade the mad ponies, which are kind of fast.
And now Darkmoon doing the thing that Ale did with buying hats and gloves.
Now, it'll be interesting to see just how much gold Ale has, because I didn't check when he was in his inventory.
Gonna check. Yeah, I like this play. We got a falchion +4.
That's a definite upgrade for the thief, and the silver +1, is it more powerful? Oh, there goes hammer for the white mage, so he's got weapons for upgrades for the party.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting. That's all I got. This is pretty interesting.
Both runners taking advantage of the free hospital that we have enabled, so they may have to pay to save at the ends, but they don't have to pay to bring back their party members up. Very good value at this point. I think one house maybe be in order for Ale.
Fabian, Darkmoon is going for bluties.
This is a crazy play.
Silver bracelets. Amazing find here. That's big armor upgrades for everyone else in the party. We're going to Roost Stick and fire out some Harm 2s, soften up these Blue Ds for the fighter to come in with that big old longsword.
Definitely focus on rusing it up, though. He took 62 damage from the first hit, and that White Mage 190. No armor on those White Mages to absorb the hits.
Budge Mono in chat calling 20 minutes in and we're almost ready to open box 6 or 7. Let's go.
So far, we've only seen one chest in Matoya's opened.
And we've seen one box, and that longsword not cutting through this Blue D absorb, but we gotta double down and hope for crits.
Meanwhile, Ale is after the grind is going after those Matoya chests.
2 hits, 94 damage, so we are breaking through occasionally with the crits, and we're going for Frost Gators and Red Creeps. Decent turn order here. We could get through this fight. Red creeps can roll up. Frost gators definitely can roll up in HP, but here comes. We got one blue D down. I'm not mad at Darkmoon's plays here. He's making the best of this situation.
That early ruse stick is definitely the bell cow item sound so far.
It's the real MVP. And just chugging away now. He's gonna get through this fight in theory, unless we see the blue D with something like Dark Touch or something finally land, but with the evasion up, it's going to be pretty difficult for Darkmoon to lose this fight. It's going to take a while, but we're through. And another big old chunk of experience, and there's our boat!
That is huge. That is progression. That is locked behind a fight that Ale has yet to retake. Unless Ale gets the canoe out of this, then that's a huge navigation bonus. Also, the crown turn in plus the checks for extra white magic. Darkmoon is jumping for joy, no doubt.
Darkmoon
or sighing with relief.
Has probably never been so excited to get to go to Marsh Cave.
Hey, with double harm 2 cast, that's actually not a bad play for survivability and experience on the walking grind.
Davian, I'm sure you've played a lot of these flags in preparation for the event, and you know how frequently key items show up in the early dungeons. Now there's a good...
talking about key items, the key for Ale, that is huge.
Now there are a lot of boxes that stand between us and the end of this Inner Sea play.
6 more boxes you can check in Canaria, 3 more boxes in Toph, plus the Dwarf Armory are now available for Ale before he even gets the ship or canoe. Going after the Gurmaduses now.
That fighter doing work. Oh, but now stoned. And it's a problem.
Darkmoon, meanwhile, checking, seeing Temper at level 2 or level 3 black. He would love to get that ninja equipped with that come later. Cure 4 and Harm 4 at level 3 white. That is a massive step up in board wipe capability. That's as close to Fade as you can get without Fade itself.
Yeah, Harm 4 is huge. Life 2 wall, it's great. Life 2 in particular, because now we're not necessarily in a rush to leave places. We can
oh my word!
Back up.
Ale clutched it with the white mage at level 10, gets the herb, another turn in other than the crown.
That means Ale has cleared out Matoya's, and maybe we're gonna go to Canaria Lock and see what's there.
I would assume so. Meanwhile, Darkmoon over at Northwest Castle. What does the Dark Elf King have for us? Is it an X-Cal? Nope, it's a Power Bonk. I mean, it's acceptable, I will say.
Yeah, Power Bonk Roost Stick. Like, let's go. That makes, if we find a ribbon soon, that makes any box doable. Slow, but doable.
Hill forgetting to pick up the rest of his party. Gonna save now that he has done so. Meanwhile, that is a Power Bonk +4. That is also equipable armor, I believe. So gloves get discarded to the thief, it seems.
Alright, here we go. Locked boxes. No Xbox here. All PlayStations. Let's go.
Could be solid equipment, but it is not. That is just some camping equipment and some supplies.
We got a house.
Darkmoon not going towards Marsh. He is running back towards Elfland. Probably low on supplies.
Ale is going to go to Toph. Going to check the Toph lock. Maybe give the Blue D another crack.
Here's hoping he does, because that would be huge. He would have the ship for that extra navigation and open progression.
I think Darkmoon heading back to Canaria to pick up soft potions. Because we found Stone Touch on the Scorpions, as pointed out by Pickles and Beer in chat.
Worms! That's worms. A huge pack.
They're worms. With Sleep Touch? No.
going with the Ruse Stick and Ruse Cast to try and keep the White Mage with the sweepers up, but that's Ruse Cast. They're chunking into the Harm Cast.
But if we get the Ruse stacks up, White Mage can just sit there and take the XP, because 4 worms,
Very true.
so much experience.
And Ale did stick a hammer on it so it can swing when it's not rusing. Wow, that large sword actually doing some damage. Meanwhile, Darkmoon has made his way into Marsh and is heading up to Marsh Top.
I'm going to have to reevaluate my plans for the rest of the day, Davian. I don't know if they're going to happen.
This is our free streamer's fault, and we know, as I said before, he needs revenge or wanted revenge on Darkmoon's seed for his race the other day.
I do think that this is going to be a challenge in the beginning, but once our runners get a little bit of momentum behind them, get the XP they need to overcome 4 worms in the early game, for example, they're going to be fine. They're going to hit. Not all of these boxes are going to be gross. It is unfortunate that we're finding a lot of gross boxes early, but, you know, it could happen. We do have a worm down.
Those Ruse Sticks are actually, Ruse Casts are doing their job. I mean, you stack on 3 Ruse Casts on those characters, 50 damage is comparable to the harm damage on one of those worms, and these worms are something you normally fight on, like, the Tia floor of Topher.
Yeah.
And in a 4-pack, this will probably be level 15 for his his White Mage is low behind, but level 15 or better on that fighter.
Yeah. And making it work. This is that momentum I was talking about. It's building up.
Meanwhile, Darkmoon gets packed the Jotunheim pack and gets the slab out of Marsh Top. That's a good experience. Ale getting the kill as well, and yep, 14 and 13, and a shard.
Hey, our first shard of the game. Let's go.
Ale evidently playing Bejeweled with the shards.
You love it. Love to see it.
I'm going to imagine Ale's going to go back and res his party before challenging any other chest, because he's got the Blue D chest if he wants to try it again, plus the 2 Marsh top locked top chests.
I think we're going to start seeing runner confidence increasing as both have taken on fights, and one, they're slower, but Darkmoon did reset out of the slab.
Oh, forgot White Mage comes with free heal magic, so Ale was able to life up and hotel to get his party up. Didn't have to run away in 2 unmarked boxes in Toph Top. Pro Ring, that's huge to see. I mean, we're through the Gurmeduses, but the Pro Ring's the Pro Ring.
And Darkmoon finding a more reasonable Xbox here with just ogres.
I think it's the first considerably reasonable one we found. Meanwhile, Ale is taking the Blue D fight. If he can pull this off, that gets him right back up with Darkmoon, plus the key that he got that Darkmoon did not, and the herb for that matter.
And there's Floater for Darkmoon and Marsh.
Now, how far away is the canoe? Gerwolf's another potentially doable pack.
Canoes in Sky. It's gonna be in Sky. I've done enough of these to know canoes in Sky.
Yeah.
You're gonna find like Ox or Chime on Earth 4. Go to Mirage, dig out Oxyel on Mirage 2. Go to sea, get the cube, go back.
That's the bottle out of the 2-pack above the incentive chest for Darkmoon, and I don't know if this is a pack from that chest or just a random loose pack, but hey, some undead creatures can be harmed to death pretty easily. Ale, meanwhile, Ruse stacks up, is going to harm strats with the White Mage, and swinging. These Blue Ds are noticeably more evasive. They're not as evasive as Red Ds, but they're also way thicker.
Now, he should be getting similar... Well, I guess it won't be similar combat RNG, as he's got the White Mage up. And when Darkmoon hit this tile, he was down to just the fighter. But we know it's going to be safe that there's the key. So we will...
The loot, so that's the counterpart to the key.
Yeah, I'm sorry, thank you. Loot with the key means we are in key item go mode once our runners sort of flip-flop back again.
Interesting, Darkmoon looked at the incentive chest, saw no X, and just said no, because he wants to evade that encounter, I guess. But that could be a katana. The katanas are just an item. There are 2 of in the sea. They're not an incentivized item by any means.
It's going to be great when our runners are full of confidence and vigor, and they go to open a box thinking it's going to be a key item or a shard, and it is in fact Warmech, because he is still out there, and every box they find that is not Warmech only increases the odds that the next box they open will be Warmech.
And there is Ale with the kill, level 15 and 14 for his own White Mage and Knight or fighter, and that is the ship. Darkmoon, meanwhile, about to get out of Marsh. Now, if you're Ale, where do you go next? Do you just go straight to Dwarves, or do you continue with progression and come back to Dwarves?
I think you go to Dwarves, because you have access to Dwarf Lock, and you know that those 2 boxes there haven't been dealt with. So,
Ale, with all that money, just gets 4 houses, and he's down to 1,500. Definitely not definitely a poverty seed by comparison when you look at those costs.
But we're gonna go to turn in the herb, because maybe we're hoping, fingers crossed, for and it's also our first look here at Elfland 4 Ale.
No Cat's Claw, so no buyable super-ish weapon available at the moment.
Resupply here for Darkmoon. We're gonna buy 1 house.
Still haven't seen a shop item either. That could make a difference. And Harm 4 for Ale. He is gonna love that upgrade. Darkmoon going back to Matoya's, it looks like.
I mean, he knows that's the play. He's cleared Marsh. And still doesn't have Canal or Canoe. So progression is still eluding Darkmoon. But
it would be hilarious if it's actually a store item and nope, it's no store item, unfortunately. Because I do not believe Darkmoon checked that item shop.
Alright, back at the Germaduses, gets a better encounter roll here.
Harm 4 going to do a lot more than the Harm 2, but if the White Mages die before they have a chance to cast it, it doesn't matter.
Couple of Xboxes here, and it's Nightmares and Badman. And we got Sleepy Touch on them.
Gonna stick with this strat from before with the fighter getting the Roostic up. Harm 4, meanwhile, doing a good chunk of damage. Those Badmen, again, a sky level encounter, and those Nightmares, a waterfall encounter by default. Those are not thin creatures.
And you can see Darkmoon trying to rejigger the party around so that they might better survive this Medusa encounter. Trying to play with the set RNG.
Not helping him that much. Meanwhile, Ale still up. 3 characters, lost the black belt, but he's only down to 1 more encounter, 1 enemy, and Darkmoon shifting to another encounter. Different box, which I think this is actually the key box.
That is correct. So, Ale gonna leave and save before opening that other Xbox.
Save some money or some running, so he just lifes up and then takes the inn. And Darkmoon gets the kill with that Dia 2.
Hey, a Sphinx. You love to see it. A little of a standard evasive enemy, but you know, we got Harm 4. We can get through this.
I would say they could luck into getting some slow or something like that, but we've seen slow, or haven't, because they don't have a black caster. I don't know if anyone checked black 3, because it's there.
They've been checking it. There's Canal behind the Sphinx.
That's very huge, because Ale now has access to multiple big checks. He has full Earth available.
And he's got a ribbon.
That makes that White Mage so much more survivable.
Alright, Darkmoon getting okay. Unfortunately, the second White Mage got taken out before it could have cast Harm 4.
It really does turn to be a very hard decision who is in the lead with this at this point, but I would say Ale would be, with his ability to check far more chests far more early. In fact, he can even check the 3 Marshlock chests, which Darkmoon was not available for, or able. And you say Sky might have the canoe? I've seen Marshlock have many an item.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. Gonna
Ale
find out.
getting his power bonk if he has. Oh, he doesn't have the crown. Never mind.
I think Darkmoon breaking through, gonna get his herb. Hydras and Ochos, not too bad. We should be able to take care of this.
Sadly, no nachos, no hunger.
Now, the only inner sea box that we haven't seen what's inside of yet is the Naga and water in Dwarf Cave, and we haven't been into Dwarf Lock yet either. But Darkmoon, with the key now, is going to make all these key lock checks that Ale has done, and Ale is heading to Marsh to do all the Marsh checks that Darkmoon has done.
Gonna get the slab, gonna get the floater, and the loot, which will put him in, as you said, item go mode. Far from levels and far from progression, but another thing to note, if anyone has or not seen this yet, the normal incentive item scaling, where more incentive items you have, the more gold and experience you get from each fight, is disabled with this shard hunt. It is instead tied to the quantity of shards our runner have. So getting these incentive items is nice for progression, but it doesn't actually help with the grind that they are being forced to do.
Alright, Darkmoon gonna do the toe flocks. And we'll see if Ale resets out of his slab. Probably not, because he has the black belt with telemagic. Darkmoon only drawing 3 worms on this fight, but should be okay. Try to we focus on ruse strats with the fighter. Nope, just going all damage.
Ale finding the Jotunheim pack, getting a few less wolves, but he also has seen the wolves already, having taken that early pop grind, which I have to say has worked out for him, because that experience as well as that gold allowed him to stack up gear much more readily than Darkmoon, and Darkmoon is definitely taking hits for it.
Mm-hmm. And not focusing on ruse strats here until the very end, until a matter of necessity. But gonna get a lot of XP on this fighter, so one more ruse and he'll be safe to go on and just take out these worms.
Meanwhile, Ale loses the thief up front, but gets the exit out with that black belt staying alive. Understandable why he's putting the black belt at the back of his party, which is normally where you'd stick your white mage. Yeah, the 3rd slot has the same chance of being hit as that 4th slot does, 12.5%, but it's just the last place. You usually want to be safe.
Mm-hmm. Darkmoon grabbing his sharp little save and head back into the top right room.
There are still 4 chests on this in this marsh bottom we have not seen. The 3 lock chests, as well as the incentive chests, which Darkmoon just straight up faded.
Darkmoon again resets out of not Xboxes. So I think that is an interesting play. I mean, you know the boxes you want to open are going to be marked. So if you can avoid, I mean, you're just basically missing out on gear, consumables, and gold. But it's a bold strategy, Davian. We'll see if it plays out.
Hey, if Darkmoon wants to play Team Xbox while Ale plays console agnostic, I'm good with this.
Darkmoon making decisions.
Getting the ship and going towards Provoca, probably wants to check some gear. As the flute instead of the lute comes out for Ale. I'll admit, as a kid, I didn't know what a lute was, so I just assumed it was a woodwind instrument, just like the ocarina from Zelda.
Awesome. Are also buying tents over cabins.
It's just second nature, and
Yeah.
another fun feature for anyone who hasn't tried the randomizer, if you remember playing this game as a kid or at any point, how the items in your inventory were set up at whatever order you purchased them.
Oh,
The triple eye tile, this could be huge experience if his party members can survive it. The eyes don't usually hit hard, but they can definitely roll a really bad script, and they are pretty thin even, jeebs.
yeah, this is pretty good. Pretty good for Ale here. Not necessarily going to be a defining moment of the seed, but good mid-game experience here. You know, we're 42 minutes in a standard winter tournament flag set. You are in the final like preparations of like trying to find that last item, trying to find your
Huge.
handful of shards.
That
Say
adamant
getting-
is very big because now he has more incentive to go back to dwarves, and that's another incentive to check item. We've already gotten the Rue Stick, the Power Bonk, the Opal Bracelet. There's far more probability that they are going to get a Vorpal or Excal off that adamant check.
And Darkmoon taking on Nagas and Waters, spamming out Harm 4 and Swings could be okay. Ale gonna check the otherwise incentive Marsh box to get a little bit of money. Small money.
I'll admit, Darkmoon doing a lot better surviving this encounter than one would expect, but we know waters hit like trucks. You do not underestimate the power of a few feet of water if you've ever been in a flood.
And probably gonna get through it here as nothing really doing in Marsh locked other than that adamant. And there's a ruby, so big play there for Darkmoon.
4 more chests available in Titans plus the Sarda check. Now, Sarda isn't guaranteed to give anything because he's not a trade-in incentive item NPC, he's just a pickup, but it's still 4 more checks.
Here comes our dwarf locked boxes.
One chest I can see that is marked. Let's see about the others on the far right. Nope, just the single marked chest.
Darkmoon is taking the time to clear out these free boxes.
Probably hoping for some usable gear. And Mucks could be bad depending on their script, but they're not. Okay, they're bad. Thunder, thunder, thunder. Ho.
Gross. Gross. Okay. Wow.
Ale on his way up to Marsh or to dwarfs. Not only has he got the TNT or the adamant to turn in now, he's got the levels. He can take those 2 fights in those boxes. He will get the crown. He will get the ruby. He might even get something out of those mucks when he fights them if he can survive. He does have a ribbon on one of his characters, which I believe is the white mage, so that could be a caster that can survive those lightnings.
And Darkmoon gets his ribbon now, might go back and give those mucks another shot.
Half of me thinks Darkmoon would progress out of the Inner Sea at this point, though. Yeah, having the ribbon is nice, but he has so many more checks he can go to and knows where that item is in the back. And of course, he's got these 2 checks to fight,
Well,
which
yeah,
I don't
yes.
remember had anything.
One of these is the canal. So,
Okay, so that would explain him getting out.
it's canal and wow,
Thank
I think
you.
it was a shard.
Thank you for our trackers, or for our tracker, Ghost Pirate, doing a great job of having notes so we can make ourselves feel less stupid. Talking is fun in the moment, but paying attention, yeah, that is the crown. That is the canal, as you said.
This should be a shard, if I remember right.
More waters, 3 whole more waters, 4 ales encounter. That could be pretty punchy. Going Rue Stack strats like he did with the previous big fight with the Bluties and the Worms.
Knowing that these 2 fights are here, I wonder if he gave any thought to switching to that ice orc that he dug out of Marsh.
It doesn't seem so. He's thinking the large +5 is just good enough damage.
Mm-hmm.
Or he just didn't even think about it, saw a negative number and said, nope.
Yeah. Well, there is evasion cap for us. Time to just start spamming damage.
With that harm 4, that'll make this a little easier on him to get done. It can't crit against anything that isn't undead, but it can still do substantial damage.
47 minutes in, Darkmoon with 2 shards. Can't feel great.
Probably going Northwest Castle to check the 3 locks there. I don't think he'll be crazy enough to, or, well, desperate. I don't think he's going to dive Marsh Lock, that's what I'll say.
No, with Canal and Boat, I imagine we're going to do the 3 here because they're relatively free. And head out.
He's just hoping for the dream canoe, because with the floater in hand, just getting the canoe and leaving the boat at home.
It feels good, but there's still not too many places we can go beyond Volcano and Ice, although there are checks there and some more Xboxes to find.
Only gets the Hydra, doesn't get the Ocho, and Ale through with a huge chunk of experience with those 8 waters, gets the beer, which in his case is his ruby. Gonna save, gonna check chests, and get that adamant turn in. Will it turn into a sword? It is a smith getting some good gear, and normally this would turn into the Masa. It turns into the tail. Okay, that's promotion available, but you gotta say, he's not gonna care about the black belt. That is just his teleport. He's gonna promote as soon as possible to get as much good gear available to his party as possible.
Yeah, especially with the White Mage having Life 1 baked into it. You know, you can pick up the black belt whenever you need to get out of a place. But here come Thundermucks.
Thunder, 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 ow.
Getting a couple punches.
The ribbon actually doing good, and those harm forecasts should be enough to... Ooh, a few of them survived, but only 2. This is survivable. Harm 2 gets out, he has priority, and he gets it. Stacks the experience on that White Mage, and gets a shard for his trouble.
Alright, Darkmoon coming back for revenge now with a ribbon equipped.
Ale lifing to his party back up, gets the exit out with that black belt, and is going, gone.
Alright, so Ale going to be our first to break out of the Inner Sea now.
With the advantage of that adamant turn in to get another item out of the incentive pool. Now we know the next 2 checks, which sadly are the slab and the slab and the bottle turn in. Those are our Vorpal and Excal. If this turns out to be a floaterless seed, aka no canoe found, they could have no access to those and just hope to find 2 katanas. Or the Cat's Claw. One has to remember that Legendary Swords and Cat's Claw rolled onto that black belt. Or onto
the fighter.
The fighter.
Yeah. Yep. Alright, Ale gonna go get the Power Bonk here from Astos. I believe it was Power Bonk.
Yes, it was. Although, if he didn't get the Power Bonk already, I don't know if he finished the trap chest. Either way, Darkmoon, our first runner.
It was Ocho's and Hydras.
Darkmoon, actually our first runner to leave the Inner Sea, having already done the Astos fight. Will the Sages have something? Will the item shop have something? And of course, we get a chance to see what level 6 magic has, if it's anything good.
Yeah, the White Mage will be able to learn anything but slot 2 here.
No shop item.
Interesting not checking the armor shop. I would have loved to have seen maybe... we got Harm 3 Fade and Cure 3 there.
Dia 3 and Holy, but you'd expect him to buy something there. Yeah, he hates... anyone would hate menuing to the 6th slot of all places, but that is a really good power to back up the harm forecasts.
Big reset there for Darkmoon back to the Elfland coastline, and it looks like we are going to go to Marshallot. I don't know why we'd be circling back around to this dock if that wasn't the play.
Ooh, the Sahags have heat. They're boiling the seas.
Because without Chime, without Oxio, without Canoe, our only play is the Earth Cave. And
we do have Sarda and the Titan. Okay, finding Dia, Invis 2, and Heal 2 at white level 5. That is another, well, evasion stack, if anything. Okie dokie, we got Ale in the Melman continent getting the slab checked because he does have that, unlike Darkmoon. Gonna check the armor shop, finds nothing special. Meanwhile, Darkmoon has made his way to Titans, wants to check these 4 chests and Sarda before trying to deal with Earth Cave. As he comes up on that Titan, Ale has now made his way out and is heading. Will he go Titan first or go Earth? Titan been talked to, doesn't have Exit or Warp, so he's just gonna go ahead and check these instead of going up, out, and saving. Gets a Mage Stick and finds an incentive. Unfortunately, well, yeah, I'd say using that Mage Stick's good. That is Fire Cast and Wolves. That'll go down to the Mage Stick probably, or just Harm 2. If this is a good chest for item, not so great chest for experience, Darkmoon will be happy. If it's just a shard, he'll also be happy. It is a shard, so he is happy. He is down on shards. I mean, we haven't seen nearly enough chests to actually get shards at this point.
Mage Stick is huge. It's another AoE sweeper. You'd love to see it, and it's elemental damage. So being able to sort of make Earth Cave a little more digestible is pretty good here for both of our runners.
Yep, and as I said, that is enough to kill those wolves. And a cabin. Okay, Sarda is a Womp, and the Shard and the Mage Stick are pretty much the only value of this check, but that is solid value. Every shard counts.
Yeah, and I would imagine our runners are going to want as many kind shards as possible, and if you have to feel a little frustrated that you don't have Oxio, Chime, or Cube yet, because those Fiend shards feel so much more valuable with trap shards that if you can get the 12 from the Fiends, like, it feels great. But it's not looking likely as 55 minutes in and we're still hunting for progression into the northern continents.
Darkmoon checking that top chest finds an Opal Shield +6, I think it was. Just gonna reset out of that. He doesn't need that armor until he promotes, and he doesn't have the tail like Ale does. I don't think Ale's gonna reset out. Ooh, a Light Axe -1, but still, that is free Harm 2 cast. He's not gonna bother sticking that on a fighter. He is gonna just cast with it.
Yeah, it's huge for the White Mage.
Especially with all the undead potentially on Earth. That and the fire and the Mage Stick are free casts of very effective spells.
Oh, buddy, 3 fires. That's not a fun thing to find. But again, we're pretty good level-wise. Like, across the board, all those big tough fights early has kind of set both of our runners up in a pretty good position.
The experience is definitely not spread across the entire team. The fighter and one of the white mages for both runners, only one for Ale, definitely getting the bulk of it, but it doesn't really matter that much because the fighter's pretty much their bell cow melee character at this point.
I do want to point out Darkmoon's White Mage got a 1-hit 1-damage kill on a fire elemental.
That's just funny. Just blow the fire out. It's a cinder at this point. We've knocked it down. The White Mage can handle it. Ale getting the advantage of that warp, exits out, heals up, saves, and is now ahead in the Earth Cave. He's caught right back up in progression locations.
It's wild to me that at 56 minutes in, all of the divergence, all of the back and forth high-fiving, hand-holding, that we are now in the same position. It's a testament to both of these runners and their ability to pivot and improvise in very different ways. we saw Ale do the pop grind. Darkmoon tested to see how, thick his skull was, just beating his head into those chimeras and Gurmaduses. But both of our runners have broken through and are making progress now. You'd love to see it.
Yep, we got 6 chests on this floor, several more chests on the next, and obviously with the rod in hand from the king, that's access to all the chests on armory floor.
Mm-hmm. And typically, Lich is scary in these flags when this says your first dungeon that you got to come into. If you don't have a ribbon, if you don't have a lot of HP, like if he rolls a nasty script like with damage poison or even a lightning 2 can wreak havoc. But it's gonna be fine. I mean, we've got a ribbon, we've got a decently leveled melee, we have a number of utility.
Oh wow, that's a second light axe. That gives 2 light axes for Darkmoon's white mages. He doesn't have to worry about charges if he can use those. That allows the walking grind to be that much more much easier to deal with.
Yeah, it will be fascinating to see when Ale lets Punch fall down and not bring him back up, to start getting that XP spread across the 3 light warriors. I can't imagine that the black belt is going to be the melee carry.
Not with the fighter the way it is, with the legendary swords possibility. I say possibility because, as we know, the katana and the vorpal are incentive items locked behind the floater at this point. But
Yeah.
The only reason to keep that black belt up now is a meat shield and or a teleport tool, which makes sense.
And so you have to think, we're also looking for progression still. Beyond this Earth Cave, there's nowhere else for us to go. Darkmoon still has Marsh Lock to do, but we know that that's not progression, it's just a tail, which he probably would want. So we're still looking for a canoe, a chime, or Oxyale, or potentially a shop item in Onrak, which Butch Mono called out in chat a few minutes ago. So spicy.
If it's the shop item, I'm hoping it's chime, because it's Oslaughto. You know there's going to be bounce back and forth. So a chime available in the gate to sea, which then leads to the Oxy, which then leads to the cube, which then leads to the sky canoe. It just sounds like an Oslaughto seed to me.
Both of our runners popping in to the little closet here, seeing that it's not a marked box, knowing that the earths are unrunnable. It's just, why even bother? It is a better trap treasure, but why bother? And there's Brack from the vampire. That'll make Mirage fun.
Yeah, who doesn't like the 5 packs of vampires you get in Mirage?
Just
interesting.
Spam Brack.
He's not bringing up the thief. He's gonna keep it Bracked.
I think that's fair. I mean, we can wake it back up. I think they still gain the benefit of as if they were alive. So
Brack characters do not get experience, to my knowledge.
No, I'm not talking about experience. I'm talking about with the thief up front. It still uses its agility and stuff for determining surprise encounters and whatnot.
Yes, even if it's bracked or dead. And ooh, blaze and whatever the other heat damage was off these frosty
Scorch.
3-pack.
Yeah, Scorch and Blaze on Frosties. It's a weird kind of Halloween seed. Red D's dressed up as Frosties.
Hey,
they got Aether. You love to see it, man.
Well, looks like that's not going to be enough to matter if the damage comes in. Wow, 3 hits, 200 damage off of the black belt. Chime. Okay, that's progression. It's not the Oxyale for sale, or the chime for sale. Is the chime found?
Well, there could still be something goofy hanging out in Onrak.
Oh, no doubt, and in my mind. Ale knows using the warp back trick. If you're in that top room and you warp back to the plate if you warp back to the floor before, it's actually less steps than if you were to run all the way out of the armory. Small trick, but a worthwhile trick to know. And ooh, Zombie D's in a 4-pack with Harm 4 and a Light Axe if he had it on anything or any other characters. That's good crit damage. The Mage Stick also totally usable on this.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the Mage Stick I know is on his Thief, so he will not be using that.
Yeah, Black Belt already up to 6 hits. That 20% hit is nothing to sneeze at.
Getting the hits in, getting the kills. That is a 4-pack down. That experience funneled to those 3 standing characters and a shard out of it. Not checking the 2 extra chests. Oh my word, if Darkmoon pulls something like a katana out of those, that would be a huge, huge step.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Darkmoon using both those light axes, saving the Harm 4 and Harm 2 charges.
Ale is gonna take on Lich here. Should it be fine? We'll get him 2 extra shards.
Interesting, he gave the light axe to the black belt so he could use Harm 2 instead of punching potentially. It'll only be effective against Lich or the Undead, but it is an option.
Mm-hmm.
Darkmoon taking advantage of heal 3 to save some menuing and heal pots. Finds another ice sword and a house. Okay, so those faded boxes are not necessarily going to come back to hurt Ale.
Yeah. Alright, Lich won at the hour 3-minute mark.
Taking it safe, putting a wall out on the fighter, does have the ribbon on the white mage, and there's the light axe. 108 damage, probably more than the punching would do at this level. Swing, gonna wall the black mage, or the black belt as well. Coming out with the swing, 142. This Lich Ink, that's just kind of a troll, but not damage. There's the punch, 77. Okay, so the light axe was comparable to punching. Gonna switch back to the light axe.
I think that the walls, it's a heads up play with that ink coming out. An increased dark penalty. If those walls don't come out, you're not getting that melee damage. So heads up play here for Ale. We'll see what Darkmoon does.
First orb lit, 2 shards gained. Ale on his way out.
Lich opening with Blizzard.
Definitely didn't see that from Ale.
Should have, because ink. We saw ink, but yeah. There you go. Harm 4 way more effective.
The party composition difference, I believe, affects the seed or the encounter RNG. So,
but Blizzard and ink are skills, so they're always going to be in the same order. Based on the script.
Very true.
Yeah. But Darkmoon on and through in a much quicker fight. Ale heading off to Crescent Lake, it looks like, and Darkmoon heading south. So Darkmoon gonna pull a little bit ahead here and go to maybe an Honorack, maybe a cheeky little Honorack check.
I'm gonna imagine Ale, if he doesn't see anything he likes, which we know the sages don't really have anything, there is the armor shop that Darkmoon did not check here.
Mm-hmm.
That could have something, but otherwise Ale is probably going to go promote before going Mirage. Especially if he thinks that grinding up that black belt or taking a grind in general. Ooh, gold plus 2. They're expensive, but that is an upgrade from the silvers. And he has plenty of money, 180 grand. He could even afford some housing in this, or with this market as late as it is.
We got a couple Xboxes here. And there's Brack Vampires.
Yeah, that definitely is unfortunate. They only use it on the 3 characters that don't have Harm 2 or Harm 4, but yeah, here's hoping that there you go. Harm 4 comes out, that gets the kill, and he has some potions. He can bring up his party, save up, and get those casts back.
Darkmoon might use this as an opportunity to pivot into a short party, but nope. Gonna keep everybody up.
And Ale does not reset out the stages. He exits out, heals up, saves, and goes.
Uh-oh. We got Imps and Grumps.
You've seen some really nasty scripts on those, but I think the light axe will do it.
Yeah, definitely a battle seasoned fighters here. Our light warriors can handle some Imps and Mirage.
I think that chest got confused for the chest in Toph with the blue Ds. That should have been here.
Question from chat from Make Fruit: do all the marked boxes have monsters in them? Yes, they do. And all of the marked boxes will either have a key item, a shard, or a masa if we find Warmech.
Oh my word, Ale is not promoting, and he is keeping that Thief Dand, or stoned as it were, which is actually the better possibility. If the Thief is dead, he has to spend to resurrect it with a life spell, whereas just having one soft in hand, he can bring it right back to life. And this is a grind check.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we got sandwiches. That'll do.
Yeah, just checking for later, no doubt. As Darkmoon has gotten back in after rezzing up his party, or at least unstoning them, is going to check greater than less than. Do we have a floater or a cube here, or do we get something otherwise? It would have to be the Oxyale or Canoe.
$20, it's Oxyale, man. It's Oxyale. It's always Oxyale on Mirage too.
Vanilla Rune Sword, that is a huge step up from that large 5 that, or long 5 that Darkmoon had been using before. Classic Gamer in chat calling for Oxyale. Honestly, I'm hoping that the Oxyale is here, but I'm also hoping that the next check is the next thing they find is a Warmech chest.
Huh.
It'd be appropriate. Warmech just went down a few floors and stuck himself in a box to be special.
Ice plus 2 armor is a nice upgrade here too. Good ninja armor if we ever promote.
Darkmoon, of course, having to go back to Marshlocked if he ever wants that chance, but
yeah,
we know that he doesn't.
Hey, trolls, not necessarily a terrible find. We're gonna Mage Stick, Swing, and a Spam Light Axis.
Use those caster items when you got them so you can avoid wasting your charges in case you have to go, in case you just immediately choose to go forward in progression. But that's actually more likely for Darkmoon because he does not have the black belt to teleport or exit out and save faster. He would have to run it out if he wanted to save before going into Sky.
Alright, drum roll, what do we got? Shard. Two more boxes
to go.
Pro Cape.
Sadly, the Pro Cape is actually just a shield that anyone can wield. It doesn't have protection like the Pro Rings do.
It's still solid absorb. Alright, we got Gargoyles. No one's favorite enemy. This just feels a little bad, but Light Axes should take care of this fight. And we got Stone Touch on the guards, too. Oh no. Light Axe gonna come through and clean up this fight as Ale hits the less than greater than room. There's a shard, and of course it will be in the last box. Zombie D Whizvant, another good experience pull here. Ale cleaning up the other boxes that Darkmoon has opened. If you're just joining us in chat, you've walked into a doozy in this round 2 of the winners bracket of the winter tournament. Darkmoon and Ale. Darkmoon getting his progressive Oxyale.
It had to be something, and Oxyale it's perfectly Oslotto.
It's pretty gross, because now we get to go back to the Sea Shrine to look for a cube, or a canoe.
Gotta admit, they're happy to see something like the Wiz Vampire Zombie D-Pack, because if they don't roll anything big, they've been pretty evasive at this point, and they've got so much harm. It's basically all they've got to use. Use that light axe on the black belt for effect. Mage Stick coming out from the fighter. This is actually really helpful.
This is going to be fascinating because Ale is likely going to get the Oxyale. He knows those sandwiches exist. he might detour into that northwest corner and just eat some sandwiches and get that black belt up and going. If he can get the fighter down or like stoned as well, like there are plenty of Ankylos around to do that for him.
This is incredibly true. He has the possibility of bringing that up. He does have promotion on his way to Onrak. So if he can get the grind up on that black belt, have it be a fully effective punch cannon on top of the potentially high-powered fighter come night, that could be a huge differentiating factor in these parties. But that's really the thing. You go with a black belt, you really want to use it, even if it's mostly just as a tele tool.
Darkmoon checking the item shop here in Oxyale, and no key item here, so gonna do mermaid side first.
Yes, he is. He is grinding. He just de-equipped armor. He's gonna go and use Mirage Tower encounters to get the kill off. He's not gonna risk the Ankylos or any other potentially bad encounter. And our first check in TFC is going to be TFC itself.
This is the fight we wanted. We wanted those Brack vampires. Now, it's time to go. Time to go. Get out of here. Oh no.
Doesn't want the Brack vampires anymore.
He wants them to a certain extent, but that's not it.
Oh, shuffling on the better gear. He's got the opal, the pro ring, and the ribbon now on that black belt. Missed what was in TFC, unfortunately, but didn't guess it would be anything special.
I didn't think he walked into that room yet. I thought he did TFC North, but
TFC was his first check.
He might have just popped in and just saw that it was XP, according to Classic Gamer. Good eye out there in chat, hanging out.
Very much appreciated. Sometimes chat just catches things that even our tracker doesn't know. No slide on Ghost Pirates. He has been doing an amazing job.
Alright, it's time for sandwiches. What's your kind of go-to sandwich, Davian?
I'll be honest, I am a fan of turkey ham on a toasted whole wheat with some lettuce, maybe some salt and pepper. It's just a really simple sandwich.
Yeah, classic. A classic sandwich. Goats in our tracker room. Talking about the Reuben, I'm a sucker for a Reuben too, man. It's Darkmoon continues the underwater dive here.
This is going to be a fast grind for Ale. That black belt already with 6 hits is one-shotting these worms, and 2 packs of them were over 10,000 experience. He's at level 22 already, 400 damage off 6 hits. This is going to make for a punch cannon online in probably 5 minutes or so, depending on how fast he's getting these encounters, and if he finds something better. I mean, he could always find a blue stake or something, but it looks like our Ankylos are the only thing other than worms on this early encounter set.
Yeah, I think he was looking at... We got the sandworms on the first encounter, and he was then looking into the different quadrants for the second encounter to kind of chain a grind together, but doesn't look like it's going to happen. Maybe check the second encounter here. Nope, all in on sandwiches. I love it. Sandwiches are important. They're a staple of the American diet from childhood through youth into adulthood. They just continue to get better, just like Darkmoon's Cuban Sea. And speaking of Cuban Sea, I love a Cuban sandwich.
I was going to say Reuben, but I mean, that's just the odd shoe.
I love a Cuban sandwich, man.
Well, as the punch cannon comes online, Darkmoon finding a chest with marks and some
Manticore's a great find too. Yeah. So Ale is seeding time here. This is the gamble of the black belt. The time you spend powering it up will speed up the end game because you'll go through fights quicker.
Already 8 hits, already 800 damage. It's gonna pay off unless there's some incredibly targeted black belt hate coming up for the party.
As long as we keep it equipped, because with the expanded power level threshold, black belt is not safe in Topher with unless it has 600 HP now. And
This
you never
is very
want to.
true.
It always feels bad to have your black belt quad X'd.
Power Word Kill or Power Word Death, whichever quad X is supposed to be from D&D, has been upgraded to deal with enemies and party members with more experience or more health than normal. It would be like 300, I think, but now it's 600 or plus. And that's Fire Armor +2 coming out of the Carbonated Bubbles Mermaid side. Thank you, Darkmoon.
Yep, so if he's still probably thinking like he'd love to promote, and now he's got equipment for the fighter and the ninja, but unfortunately not going to promote for Darkmoon because I don't see us going back to Marshlocked. With Oxyel Chiming Cube, he should be able to get his remaining shards in those 2 dungeons. With the 8 shards just from Tia and Kraken alone, he should be fine.
Now,
Question,
if you
chat.
are Ale, do you full level the black belt to like 40 plus so it has the 10 hits? Because it has the plus hit percentage.
What if I
has
told
to go
you?
To 42.
What if I told you can get to 12 hits with 20% hit? You can get to 12 hits. I mean, I think it's level 46 to get 12 hits, but you know, in for a penny, in for a pound with a black belt. So
I'm gonna think he goes to 42 for the full absorb and MDef, then promotes. And if he gets those extra hits in progression, he will.
The full MDef doesn't really come until like 45 to 48, depending on what you're trying to get MDef to break. Like if you want to be Bane proof, like you got to go to like 48. So, and at that point, you know, you're still not fully safe because even though your MDef's up, that power word could still get you. If Chaos opens with a punch and then a quad X, yeah, I think you keep it equipped with a ribbon, those gold bracelets we found for sale, but you go for the MDef to get a little bit better luck on nuke rolls, and then you still promote, yeah. Because why not?
Yeah, as long as he does this leveling pre-promotion, the black belt will get all the MDef growth, and Darkmoon fading those 3 chests in the bottom left to Sharknado. Doesn't care about the non-X chest at this point. He just wants to find his tail. Actually, he can't find his tail at this point because he doesn't know.
Question from chat: Would the eyes be a better grind right now? No, because we would have to walk all the way down through ice to get to them. And Darkmoon, cheeky check here, getting paid out with a ribbon. Huge find here in Sharknado Room. But with set RNG and the fact that you got to go through ice to get down to it, it's not as safe as this. It might be a little bit more XP, but we're saving after every fight. We're never going to lose this grind. It's free. So.
Plus, we have no canoe or floater yet. Well, we have the floater, but no canoe yet, so that's not even on the table.
This is true. And the fact that they're all just bracked, they're not even dead, so Ale can just pick the whole party back up. It's pretty great.
Yeah,
but
and of course,
making the Kraken play. It's party time.
I do not disagree with Darkmoon's strats. He is speed and powering it as best he can. Yeah, he can't promote because he doesn't have the tail, but we've seen so many seeds end pre-promotion, and the fighter being able to wield an Excal, Katana, Vorpal, it can be the big stick. But ooh, Kraken doing Kraken things, punching out a white mage. There's 2 to hit though, so higher probability.
This is a fascinating sort of example here of legendary swords. It feels like it's a great blessing to get until you don't find a legendary sword. And here we are, 80 minutes into the seed, no eyes on Katana, Vorpal, or Excal.
Worse yet, we know from process elimination that Excal and Vorpal are locked behind the chime, or locked behind the slab and the bottle. the slab which Darkmoon does not have, and the bottle which Ale does not have, but regardless, they need the canoe to make it happen.
Yep, and Darkmoon up against a wall here against Kraken. Can't quite break through Kraken's evasion consistently. And Kraken can't break through Darkmoon's evasion, so it's just a matter of time here. You want to hope that Darkmoon will get the damage out before, and there it is, before Kraken finds a hole in that RNG table to pop a crit in.
And that's focused experience on that fighter, which he really loves seeing, plus the 4 shards he got out of full clearing see? Not full clearing necessarily, but actually clearing it. And yep, he is not that many shards out of go mode. He could totally get into go mode just off of what he finds in Sky. And Sky, we know, provides it will have access to the canoe one way or the other.
Yeah, 4 shards in, and a Tia kill, and Darkmoon could be heading for Topher.
Now, Ale about to take advantage of one very important thing. If you have a very buff party member in the front of your party, you affect the chance that the enemies will just say nope and run away. That could help. C has a lot of high level enemies though, so they're less likely to run away, but they will run away.
And Darkmoon 8 shards away, Ale only halfway through his shards, so it's gonna take some time for Ale to get through this Sea Shrine. We might just be looking for Xbox, and if we don't see an Xbox, we're gonna leave. So he still has a lot of boxes to open.
Did he not promote? No, he faded promotion for now.
He might not promote unless he finds really good night equipment, even though we kind of have it, but we'll see. We'll see what he does. Promotion, I mean, we didn't get super great magic for the fighter or the thief, so it's not like there's I don't believe there was life available for, let me double check our tracker notes.
Yeah, no life available for the knight, but the thief could get temper and saber, so
yeah, there's not really good magic here. Like, you have Night Learnable Fear, Harm 2, and Ruse, Mute, Fog 2, A Rub, Heal, and Soft. Like, it's fine. You know, we're not gonna promote for that. And then Temper, you don't really need Temper for a big old black belt if there was Fast available. But yeah, we might be fading promotion unless we had found Katana or something. But even then, we could just throw it on the fighter. So probably no promo for Ale.
Darkmoon and Sky dealing with an unrunnable pack of Gurmedusas before hitting up the first chest, which is an X chest and has 2 Hydras in it. What will he find? It won't be a Masa, but it will be something.
Could be Canoe. It's Canoe! Canoe in the Banesword box. You love to see it.
Well, that is an interesting thing to find, because technically, depending on your routing, if you just go out and then up, that is access to the floater, and no doubt he will think, I'm going to quick chest the bottle, because it's going to be a sword.
Darkmoon finding Pro Ring +3 or Pro Ring +4 and Cold Bracelet +3 in boxes right next to each other. It's amazing.
Yep, and Ale checking
died. A mage died in this room.
Getting the free eye for Darkmoon. Meanwhile, Ale fading every chest that isn't an X chest. Did take the time to carbonate bubbles. Thank you, Ale. I suspect Ale's going to just immediately exit out from here once he gets this kill, and then save and redive and go full on Kraken floor. Whether or not he picks up that ribbon that Darkmoon did, as Darkmoon did cheekily check a non-X chest when otherwise fading them, I have no idea. And oop, Ale's not even bothered to save, he just exits. Oh, there you go, he's gonna... Why? This is the worst inn, and you have so much money.
Probably didn't have houses. I didn't see his inventory. So... checking some Xboxes here. A couple of, so more XP for Darkmoon here. These are good fights. And gonna be decent levels across the board. You know, there isn't necessarily anything turned on that is gonna make Topher scarier than a standard Winter Tournament flag set, other than set RNG. So Darkmoon in a pretty good position here.
He's taking a chest.
He's probably pretty happy with his levels, his gear. Probably would want the tail in Ael's inventory. Gouda in chat pointing out that he did not have shops in his inventory, so had to use the inn there.
That would be an interesting item, just a pop tent shop that summons the caravan.
So
totally
Darkmoon,
need to make that happen.
2 shards away from a Tia kill in the go mode, and with the canoe we can dock at Matoya for that quick little jaunt over.
Or, as I said, if he goes down and to the right, he can go straight up and get to the Ryokan Desert and get the floater. Hey, there is a Warmech.
SpaghettiOs! It's party time. That's what we were worried about. The CC Gambit check. And Ael gonna skip out on the boxes in Sharknado, not gonna get that backup ribbon, but
he's got a ribbon and a black belt. He's fine.
Yeah, so we're gonna go full on Invis 2 and Roostics, and we should be able to get through that fight, or at least should be able to survive this fight, barring really gross turn order with nukes, nuclears, things of that nature. But Dop comes through. We've got a pair of ribbons, so this is still fine.
Ice 2 isn't nuke or nuclear. Meanwhile, Ael finally getting into that Kraken fight.
And this could solve Darkmoon's melee problem. We don't have a big sword yet for the Thief or the Fighter, but this will do it. Here comes Cure 3, Heal 3 strats. Ael should not have a problem at all with this Kraken with that black belt. Stop rolls through again. This time a little bit better luck, only stops the second White Mage. We're going to wait, we're going to Power Bunk, and we're going to Lightning Axe. Here comes Lit 2 from Warmech. So Warmech showing that the scripts and Topher might be scary because we're not seeing nuclears or nukes or Cure 4s or Slow 2s. All of the stuff we don't want to see. Quad X here is great. Ice 3, not ideal. Not ideal.
Especially if the second White Mage goes down, because then there's no rezzing the rest of the party.
But that fighter be so big.
And those 2 ribbons coming in clutch.
Absolutely. More heal 3s. Ael on his way to Sky will also likely find this Warmech box, thinking it's a shard. But this is if we're able to survive, really big for Darkmoon here as he gets through. Could be max XP, level 26. And it's a vanilla masa. That's a big upgrade over a long +5 sword. Darkmoon waking everybody up. We've got boxes to open. We gotta find 2 more shards still. Darkmoon showing off the power of the Ninja Turtle base. Davian, have you ever seen a turtle get down?
I mean, I've seen a turtle breakdance.
Were they slamming and jamming to the new swing sound? It's a shame it wasn't a vanilla ice sword.
Well, we're not talking breakdancing circa Mario movie. We're talking breakdancing.
I mean, those vampires throwing out break.
Sorry, I should say Super Mario Brothers, the movie.
I'm making Ninja Turtle 2 movie references, buddy. It's the secret of the ooze.
I just remember Shredder coming back to life.
Shredder in that movie played by the Super Shredder in that movie played by the WWF's Diesel.
Sea snakes with stone touch. That's fun.
Ael's not skipping the canoe. We're gonna take the fight.
He's wanting all the shards he can. He will hopefully catch up on shards with Darkmoon pretty fast. They've been to the same places except for Marshlock, so the shards should be pretty much even to go mode if 2 more shards are available in this free 4-pack on the left side. If we don't get those 2 shards, then the question is, where do you go after this? You've got the floater available. You can go check those incentive items in Gaia and potentially Lefane for Ale, and you then have the choice of Volcano or Ice. I'd say Volcano is the most logical next step because you've got that fast run into the armory floor.
It's got to be. It would have to be Volcano, but Darkmoon finds the last shard for him here in the green box. So being able to skip all of Sky 2, it's pretty quick for Darkmoon. I don't know what Ale's going to do. If we're going to leverage chest density on Sky 3 for more boxes in Sky 2. It's interesting to see.
The weirdest thing would be if there was just a glut of shards on Sky 2 and he just exited out, not bothering to take carry, but no.
It'd be fun. We're going to find out what Ale's going to do as Darkmoon heads up. Now, Darkmoon has killed a Warmech already. There could be another Warmech here on this floor in his pathing to the teleporter.
Taking a zigzag pattern, optimizing his probabilities of seeing it just by being off-stepped.
No Warmech.
And nope. Still, oh, he is going to chase it down, and there it is. He is taking the Warmech as Ale pulls the Masa chest Warmech.
You'll love to see Darkmoon, hero of the people, taking 2 Warmech fights, ensuring all of the levels for his party.
Warmech having some good absorb, takes the punches from the from the black belt, also does some good damage on the black belt.
You love to see a double Warmech fight, and they're fighting different Warmechs.
Hey, there's potentially another Warmech just walking around the Bridge of Destiny. For some reason, Sky comes packed with extra Warmechs.
I don't think I think if Patrolling Warmech is on, there is no Warmech on the Bridge of Destiny.
30,000 experience, 4 Ale, and a Masa to equip that fighter. Or is he going the... Yeah, he's going to go with the fighter. Now, this fight for the second Warmech is kind of allowing Ale to catch up, because he did the same thing. He faded the second floor of Sky. That black belt definitely helping take care of the Warmech faster than Darkmoon was able to deal with it with his party.
He's going to have a little bit easier of a time now because he is swinging that Masa from the first Warmech. So it should be... Oh, there's Nuclear, our first gross skill, and now it's a serious business time. We got to stop with the buffing and start with the damage.
Those 2 ribbons coming in clutch yet again. He has the ribbon on the fighter and the white mage. Meanwhile, Ale has the solo ribbon he's got on that white mage, but he has effectively a ribbon on the black belt. Here is the final trap chest for the shard needed for Ale as Darkmoon gets the kill on the second Warmech. 29-27 for his fighter and his white mage. Gonna use life 2 charges to bring back the party. 1 life 2 check or charge left on that white mage with the ribbon, and no life. Oh, never mind. They have life in battle with 2 life charges at level 8 due to the blessings of heal magic on the white mages, so he does have the chance to do in-battle rezzing. Now, I highly doubt Ale is going to take the Walking Warmech. He is just in go mode to punch a dragon's heads off.
He's going to bump right into him if he turns up. If he turns up, he's going to bump right into him. If he goes down, he won't see him. Oh, buddy.
I don't mind if he takes it. Oh, he's taking it, and that black belt should do well. No fast casts, as we've said, but that's still a lot of punches.
Jeez Louise. 4 Warmechs. Truly a blessed race.
Hey, with the challenges they had with all the chests before, this is pretty much the easiest encounter they've had all game.
The freest experience, too.
Stop hitting nothing but the thief, doesn't mind, gets the kill on the black belt, 5 hits for 800 damage, 45 on the black belt, 25, 29, 24. These levels are perfectly adequate. He is nuke safe on everything except for his thief and his white mage, and the white mage has the ribbon. Meanwhile, Darkmoon switching to light casts on the mages with that light axe. Going with the swing with the Masa, and only getting 272 damage. This is a very either evasive and or absorbent Tia. There's the kill for Darkmoon, but with that difference in timing of the black belt's potential time to kill, Ale is definitely catching up.
Yeah, Darkmoon needs to go, go, go. We have no houses, so we're gonna probably dock at Matoya, stay at the Inn in Canaria, walk to Toph. If he's going like maximum efficiency, I feel like that's the play.
Yep, he is
Don't
not
dawdle.
bothering with the floater. He cannot promote.
Darkmoon, you're dawdling. Go to Matoya's dock. Unless
he
he forgot that. Darkmoon, please.
It looks like he might try to go diagonally to the desert. Unless he's going to...
Oh, Darkmoon. What you doing, buddy?
This is some interesting derp and confused routing. He's going to go to the inner sea.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit of a tilt, maybe. A little bit of just sort of like, not the muscle memory, but you would love to see a Matoya dog.
Ale's doing the Matoya dock. They're not bothering with promotion. Ale's not bothering with promotion. He's not bothering with the floater. He's got a Masa, so he probably doesn't think the Excal or Volpor were worth it, because he has the pumped up black belt because he did get the grind. In fact, that routing difference just put Ale ahead of Darkmoon on the way to Topher.
Yeah, Darkmoon might have forgot that he found the canoe, but it's one of those things. You get into a race, man. Sometimes your brain just leaves your head, and it's you just gotta forget what you're doing, and you go into muscle memory, and you haven't had the canoe all seed, so yeah. But here we go.
Now the question is
simultaneous black orbs, man.
Pretty much. Darkmoon getting that one encounter, and hey, A for Frosties with priority. That's just fun.
Worth noting, we're on different encounter tables too, so somebody didn't hard reset, or somebody did.
Ale did save out before. One of them must have not hard reset. But this is interesting. That gives us intel for a potential wipe. There's nothing safe about Topher when all we've seen is one nuclear out of the major pool.
Mm-hmm. And Cure 4, Slow 2 still in there. But with set RNG, this is going to be pretty neat. Here we go. Synced up Phantom. So there's a little difference in the RNG right there.
138.45 versus 138.45. That's such a minuscule difference. And this one has to remember how long Ale took to do that grind to get that black belt up. That really cashed in on how hard it was for Darkmoon to get those initial chests, because he did the bashing his head before Ale, or instead of Ale, who went and did that pop grind. These different routings and different parties are really coming to affect the situation with the race. Earth floor for both runners.
Yeah, I think it's also the time that Ale spent grinding up the black belt is equitable to the time that Darkmoon spent in fights longer. Against the Wormex, against Tiamat, against Kraken. And here we go. Lich is a punch and a goodbye. Darkmoon with a swing, a light axe, a swing, and light axe, fingers crossed? Nope. Lightning 2 comes out, so Darkmoon gonna see round 2 against Lich as Ale on and through onto the carry floor now.
Darkmoon just spending more time to hang out with his buddy from the Earth. Meanwhile, we get punch, swing, wait again. Wow, 781 touches. The carry 2. That is a thin fiend for Topher.
This feels like maybe all of the fiends are going to have rolled small, so black belt could be pretty effective here.
Ale not bothering to change up his party. Gonna go ahead and wait. White shirt?
And it is. So Ale getting lucky, the white mage was not targeted with that punch, because that changes the math here, but Kraken surviving one punch.
If all Kraken does is punch, and if it doesn't touch the white mage, Ale will be happy with anything. 191 on a crit, that is not a heavy hit, and boom, Ale through. That is Kraken 2 down. Ale not gonna bring up his fighter just yet. I guess he just wants to get the run into the next floor. There he goes, gonna get a life 2 up, heal the rest of his party. Meanwhile, Darkmoon onto the seafloor through that super thin carry. Ale pulling Tia 2. that white shirt coming in huge, being able to get that Invis cast out with the Thief instead of having 2 white mages.
Same strategy as the Kraken fight. Swing, double Invis. There's Ink. So Fighter negated. So into weight strats.
Yeah, well, the Fighter really is not the damage effect, so that is perfectly acceptable on Ael's side. 9 hits, 1200 plus, dead. That is a full clear of the Fiends. If Ael makes it cleanly into and is in Chaos, this will be our first Chaos fight at just around 142. Gets the heals up, gets the fight. 140, 159, right as it ticks over. Sticking with the strats he had, which seems to be white shirt, invis 2, something, and a punch with the punch cannon. Doesn't really feel like he needs to bonk up or anything. Oh, no, he is bonking up. Inferno comes out, powerful but not critical. Still over nuke save for his fighter and his black belt. 802 health on the black belt. Meanwhile, we have Darkmoon trying to get through Kraken 2. 9 hits, 130 or 1300 damage from that black belt. It is yoked.
Damage coming in, but not enough to make any real difference here, as Ael with the second punch on and through, defeating Chaos with an official race time of 142.32. Darkmoon still taking on these fiend fights. Let's see if we can get Ael in here for an interview.
A long and hard-fought match, but the black belt coming in clutch.
And Darkmoon through that Kraken fight, and we do have Ael in the booth. GG's, Ael.
Hey, thanks, Caleb. Thanks, Davion.
How you feeling, man?
Glad I took that black belt.
How were you feeling 40 minutes in, a handful of like 2 or 3 shards still in the inner seat? Where was your head at?
So Darkmoon and I were chatting a little bit in the race room. He had mentioned that his biggest gamble was taking fighter or black belt. With us having 2 white mages in the pool, I assumed he was probably going to go double white mage. And then when I saw Sweeper Magic, albeit Disarm 2, but Sweeper Magic at level 1, I was like, all right, this is going to give him a lot of edge for early boxes. And like you said, by that 35-40 minute mark, I was feeling really behind.
Mm-hmm. It was sort of fascinating if you go back and rewatch this, watching the paths diverge and converge, and then like just sort of like the helix pattern that the 2 of you took through this seed. Holding hands far more often than you think. The biggest time where we were apart was when you were eating sandwiches in the desert. So as Darkmoon was clearing C at that point. But the telemagic, was there ever a point where you were going to abandon the black belt for the fighter thief white party?
So my thoughts for bringing black belt were twofold. One was
Darkmoon in trouble here, and Darkmoon takes a wipe on Tia 2, unfortunately not playing nice, reduced 2 turtles as Darkmoon has thrown in the towel. And get those GGs in chat for Darkmoon. I do not at all want to throw any shade about that forfeit. This seed, Darkmoon in chat, was, man, GG's, buddy. This was brutal to watch. How you feeling, man?
Having force take 2
well said.
Like 1, and he just stuck in his ears.
My mic was muted, flashing at me like, why aren't you like unmuting me? No, thanks guys. Yeah, no. When I saw that how awful that start was, and that was wretched. Like, there were so many good trap boxes later that should have been in the early game for us to get some progression going. Where were those imps in Mirage? Like, I was so mad about that. But
I was gonna say the imps got traded for the bluedies.
Yeah, but when once I got that ruse stick out of one of the fights, I can't remember what it was. That made things a
Mhm.
little easier, but I was still I didn't get out of the inner sea until like 45 minutes in or something like that. It was
Yeah,
stupid.
you guys were holding hands the whole way through. I
Yeah.
was just asking Ale because he took the black belt party
Hmm.
if there was ever a moment when he was going to consider dropping the black belt and just sticking with the fighter thief white mage, and then I was calling your TFI, but I do want to go back to your what you were saying, Ale, as I cut you off.
Oh no, you're good. So my black belt decision was twofold. So one of it was yes, tell you magic. I assume there's gonna be trap boxes everywhere. So like for those really short dungeons, if I needed to, I can get in, take the box, warp out, use a tent, hit the next box. Um, the other reason for bringing it was our only black caster was a promoted thief, and I wasn't guaranteed to have uh, tail, and I was concerned about not having fast or temper available. So he was kind of like my backup melee. So if fast had rolled somewhere in 1 through 4, I likely would have taken done the promotion and probably dropped the black belt and just went with like the fighter thief white mage. But all we had was Bracken temper,
Yeah,
and
Oh.
I wasn't feeling that.
and there was
Um,
the legendary swords being missing.
hmm.
Um, Also,
That sucks.
probably a big bummer.
Hmm.
We deduced that Vorpal and Excal were floater locked in
Little and slow.
Gaia and
Yep.
Lafane. Yeah,
Yep. Yeah, I was
because
like, when I did my previous game, the XCal was basically it promoted the fighter up to a black belt with some levels. It was like I can just freight train through these fiends, and then this time around, no chance of that whatsoever. That was awful. I just looked. I know why you had the adamant to the tail, and I didn't. Ale. I didn't do marsh locked. I went and did marsh early, and I
Ah,
don't go back to marsh after I've checked it if I don't have the key. So,
yeah,
yeah,
I managed to get the key from what was it? I can't remember
it
if it was
was.
the R Piranha or it was the Gurmadusa pack and play.
yeah,
It was one of those two.
I think
So I had it from there.
it was the Caribs and Frost Gators.
yeah.
That's what it was.
They destroyed me when I first went there, and then I got enough money to get a longsword +5, and I had the ruse stick, and I slowly started making some progress, and I'm like, well, let's go do marsh because those enemies are going to be safer. and, and they were. I managed to get through it, but that meant I didn't go back through to get my tail. And I didn't class change. So, not that it really would have helped with no legendary swords available. That was the only thing I really would have cared about anyway. So, yay.
Honestly, thought you were going to go ahead and use the canoe to get the floater based on the way you were leaving Mirage,
I
but
I forget
yeah.
the river is there, and then as Caleb said on stream, because I was listening, muscle memory took over. I'm just like, well, I'm going this way. We're just gonna go this way. It's too late now. Pot committed. So
Yeah, yeah.
at a certain point, yeah,
That's what I figured it was because like it's
yeah.
so difficult like when you're that late in the game and you
Mm-hmm.
know you're racing someone like Ale, like you just gotta go, and
Gotta
then
go.
it's just like you're probably coming around ordeals like, oh crap, I could have docked at Matoya's, but you're just like, I can't turn back now.
Can't turn back now. Nope.
Yeah, I
Well,
get it.
the thing was, we kept it close. I'm happy I kept it close. Keeping it close to Ale was really all I wanted because I was afraid I was going to be like bebopping my way over to Topher and he'd already be done. I'd be like, well, we'll do one dive for the fans.
Yeah, no, you were doing great, man. Like
Thanks.
the early fights against the Chimeras
Mm-hmm.
and the Medusas, like, Ale was doing pop grind and you were pushing through with your harm twos and just rejiggering your party to try to get the better RNG.
Mm-hmm.
It was a heads up play, man. It was
Thanks.
a solid move.
I was so annoyed that the Gurmadusas kept changing their pack size because then I had to like refigure what the party was gonna be.
Yeah, I didn't think that was going to happen with set RNG, but it
No.
was happening.
It was happening. It was
Yeah.
something about like the number of steps I took and other fights that I was taking before it, and then just amount of time to get there. The fight was able to set to a different RNG table, and it was just annoying. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, no, I was trying to tell Ale in the chat, but we're here now. It was using the ruse stick to get through the chimeras first, and then the same thing getting through the blue Ds. That dumped what, like 10 levels on my fighter, and I'm like,
Yeah,
well, I can do almost anything with this fighter now. Let's just go. So that
yeah.
was a longsword +5. It was great for a while. That longsword +5 lasted way too long.
You use that until you found Masa.
I know. Well, I kept looking at other swords going, you're not good enough. Why can you not give me... I kept checking for like an Ice 5 or a Fire 4 or anything that would be better, but that longsword plus 5 was the carry. MVP of my party.
Yeah, I
100%.
had it for I think really up until I got the Masa as well.
Yeah,
I do.
that was
I
so dumb.
do. If you guys do go back and rewatch this,
Uh-huh.
it was fascinating. At one point, you were both fighting Warmech, but
Yeah.
different Warmechs. Uh,
Thank you, by the way, for both taking 2 Warmechs.
You're
yeah,
welcome. Well,
yeah.
I did the one, and I'm like, okay, if I see the other guy, I'll go and do the other one, because why not? You gotta, at this point. The levels would be nice. I know I can already kill one of them. And then I see him out of the corner of my eyes, I'm going up to Sky 5, and I'm like, no, we're going back. We're going back for that. I want those levels.
Yeah.
I had similar thoughts going in. I was like, I got, with all the trap boxes, we talked about this before. It's like, you're almost guaranteed to find Warmech somewhere where you don't want him. Usually it's early, but this one it just happened to be in the sky when we were just checking the Xboxes at this point.
Yep.
But I got through the one. I was like, all right, that's fine. And I'm a fan of left and up on Sky 4. So I was like, well, if I
I
see
do.
him, I'll stop and have some words with him.
Yep.
And I saw him, and I was like, sir, I have some words about this, and I'd like to speak with you about my experience here today.
He was the kindest of all the fiends, I thought. He was not bad at all to fight.
We did see a nuclear roll through at
The
one
second
point,
time.
but
Yeah, his energy table changed on me somewhere in the middle of it. It was fine. I survived. That's all that mattered. If I'd wiped at that point, I would have been like, so sad.
Big GGs to the both of you. I'm going to stop
Thanks.
asking questions and see if Thavian has anything he wants to ask you guys.
I have to ask, Ale, did you at any point think that post grind you were going to promote just to have access to better gear? Because I do know you got a few of the late game pieces of armor for the fight or for the night.
No, not really. Well, I think once I really got the grind going, it was pretty much this is it, because I already knew that I wasn't going to have a lot of benefit from it. Like, I got the ice armor, I think, at one point in Mirage. I was like, you know what? It is what it is. I'm not going to be sitting here like trying to rejigger the whole party and everything when the knight isn't going to be the carry here.
Yeah.
So I just figured the routing over to that, and then the benefits from promoting weren't really there at all.
Fair enough. And then I should mention, we've already seen you chatting in against your opponent, Pickles and Beer, for the next round in Twitch chat. You looking forward to that one?
No, I'm not, because Pickles has been my kryptonite,
Yes.
if I can talk.
You were supposed
like
to lose to me.
I know. I was supposed to sandbag, and then things happen and pop, and something's flipped inside of me. But no, so Pickles has been my kryptonite in almost everything we've done for like the past year. I think the only time I was consistently beating him in winter tournament was before he even practiced. And now he's a little spooky, and I'm excited to get sent to the lower bracket whenever we race next.
Talking about lower bracket, Jake Hoper up for you, Darkmoon. What do you think is going to happen there?
Is he up for me? I must have misread the challenge page that I updated myself. He's good. He's been around the community longer than almost anyone still playing right now, except maybe Edgeworth at this point. He has a meme named after him, the J. Coper bats. I did misread this challenge. That's on me. Yeah, the whole reason why we have less bats in Earth Cave and they're now killable is because of J. Coper getting like one bat in the hallway for over 3 minutes and just losing a race by 3 minutes because of that. So he's been around longer than anyone, including myself. And he has this ability sometimes you'll watch him and he'll just go into Topher at like level 17 with the worst party you could think of, and he'll get through on the first try and beat you by 15 minutes. So I'm not taking anything for granted on that fight.
Jay Coper, the Swiss Army man of randomizers.
Plays it all.
It's amazing.
It is.
Well, GG's to the both of you. Before we move on to final thoughts, I just want to give a big shout out for giving us the opportunity to talk about sandwiches. Sandwiches brought to you by Ale this race. Darkmoon, moving into the admin bracket.
Sure.
Final thoughts, buddy.
I love that we call it that, by the way.
That's where we all end up.
We'll all end up. We'll all be there. It'll be fun.
We all end up in the admin bracket.
That's such a great name for it. I'm happy with the way the performance went. I'm surprised I won my first match. I'm happy this one was close, even if Tia did kill me in the end, so not as close if you want to think about it that way. But also I saw Ale finish and I just didn't care as much. So, but no, yeah. Once you see it, you're like, let's just go for the lulz now. We're losing no matter what. No, I was happy with this performance. I was happy with this overall. At least I can assure myself that if the start was bad for me, it was bad for Ale. This was terrible. And I'm sure it was delightful to watch. Probably a great time for everyone in chat. So, and we still finished sub 2 hours. So, you know what? Take the win and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
GG's, bud.
Thanks.
Ale, my once and former co-op partner. GG's, bud. Final thoughts?
Yeah, thanks. I mean, just to kind of echo what we've been talking about for the past couple of days, I think Darkmoon feels like he's coming to his own in this particular flag set. And even watching his race the other night, I was like, if we don't have difficulties, I'm going to be in trouble because he is playing really well right now. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Darkmoon continue on for another few more rounds in the admin bracket, just
Thanks.
because you've been doing really well. That said, I really enjoyed all the shenanigans. I kind of,
So good.
I enjoyed how we kind of just said, "Hey, I know we decided on this, but let's make it worse."
Let's make it so
And it
much
just
worse.
it just worked out great. So yeah, I'm excited to see what comes next, and excited to have a couple days to rest and recuperate before trying to, I don't know, have a saltier run back with nuns in the pool ? With Pickles. I'm not sure. I don't know.
I
We'll
mean,
see
if
how that
Pickles
goes.
wants to race tonight, you technically know your opponent. You could go anytime now.
No.
Let that shoulder recover, buddy.
Yeah, the shoulder, the sanity, oh my gosh, I'm
Right.
still in grinding pop at 35
Oh
minutes.
my
What am I
god.
doing with my life?
What level did you go to?
I only took the fighter to like 10 or 12, but it was
Okay.
like it was mostly only the giants. Like the Zombies had
Mm-hmm.
Lit 3, the
Gross.
Frostwolves had Squint. Um,
Oof. I
so I
almost
would
thought
have,
about them. Yeah.
yeah, so I would just kind of have to keep fishing for the giants, and it was like ruse, and then just hold A for like 3 minutes. I'm like, wow, each one of these is like a fiend fight. This is amazing.
Mhm.
Well, speaking of later, gotta mention at 9 p.m. Eastern, we do on this channel, RPG Eliminate, have a quad race with Woobear versus Jay Shadell and Shanigan versus Gouda 632. There's also a couple biggie races on Final Fantasy Randomizer, 8 p.m. Serenus and Herbie B, as well as 10:30 p.m. Eastern, Life Reboot and Odoron. So there's far more racing to do on stream today. Looking forward to that.
I'll be
Yeah,
there for those. That's my restreams.
And don't sleep on those bickies, Cyrus and Herbie.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be a good race. And Life Reboot and Odron. That's a morning race, just actually happening at nighttime. Those guys always answering the call in the early morning pings. If you want to be a part of those early morning pings, come join the Discord. Come hang out with us. FinalFantasyRandomizer.com. You can find the links to the Discord as well as the randomizer itself. All the wonderful tools there. If you want to be a part of the community, come hang out with us. There's nothing but fun happening here. That's what one of the F stands for in FFR. I've heard. At least.
Have you
From
not
someone.
witnessed this?
No, I've never found fun myself. The fun is the friends we made along the way. But Thavian, you wanna take us out here, bring us home, man?
Sure, why not? As my co-commentator Caleb has mentioned, join up with the randomizer, FinalFantasyRandomizer.com. There you will find the randomizer as well as the links to the Discord. Not only are we a good community to join up and a lot of fun to race this game with all the fun seeds we've got, you can join up because after this tournament, we have the Duckling program starting back up. The Duckling program has several of the longtime runners of the Final Fantasy Randomizer community taking charge and providing coaching and experience for the randomizer, practicing totally different seeds week by week, leading up to a tournament just for the Ducklings, the Duckling Derby, who will become the Duckling Dawn of 2024.
Ducklings being our new players.
There we
They're
go.
just getting their feet wet.
They're just getting little flippers wet. I think we've all been through the Duckling program at one point or another, and it really does help so much.
That first round of the duck, I don't know if it was helpful for me, but yeah, it was a completely different animal back then. It's so much better organized. So much thought goes into it. Where
It's
the very
grown.
first iteration 5 years ago was a different beast altogether.
It's grown over time. We've improved it.
So much fun happening. Thavian, again, thank you so much for being my co-coms. Goats Pirate for doing the track, and Osloto for doing the restream and rolling this seed that had our runners spend an hour in the inner sea. You love to see it.
Do we? Do we?
Not by choice.
Seeing's different than playing Darkmoon. But GG's, guys. Thank you so much. I guess we'll get out of here. Have fun. I'm sure RPG Limeric's got something coming up, and otherwise, we'll see you at the later races.